Did you know you have a speaking superpower? Everyone has a speaking superpower. By the end of this conversation, you will know why it's important to know your speaking superpower, the 4 different types of speaking superpowers, and how knowing your speaking superpower will help you to become a confident and influential speaker. If this is your first time encountering me, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Shalonda and I am a public speaking coach. It's an honor for me to help entrepreneurs, small business owners, people in leadership positions, and professionals learn to transform their concerns with public speaking into confidence. You seem like you're ready to transform your concerns, which is why we're having this conversation. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to hit the bell icon. You'll receive alerts when new videos are released every week to help overcome those concerns with public speaking. Your voice has power, and we are going to step into the power of our voices to speak with boldness, clarity, and influence. We'll talk about the 4 different types of speaking superpowers and how knowing your speaking superpower helps you to become a confident public speaker who has influence. Let's start by talking about why it's important to know your speaking superpower. Have you ever had to put together a table, a chair, a desk, anything that required you to read instructions? And when you got the instructions, some of the instructions had pictures only. Some of the instructions had words only. None of the instructions were verbal where you can listen to them. Maybe you had to go to the internet and look for a YouTube video to see how a person put together whatever the item was you were putting together. That's important to know because that's going to tell us what your speaking superpower is. Your speaking superpower is the way you prefer to receive and share information. When we know our speaking superpower, that increases our self-awareness. People who have a higher level of self-awareness know what specific steps to take to overcome those feelings of anxiety, fear, panic, distress, any other emotion that tries to convince us we're not good at public speaking. That's the number one reason it's important to know your speaking superpower. It helps to increase our self-awareness, which helps us to become more confident. Basically, when you know you have a strength, you can use that strength to give a successful speech. Let's now talk about the 4 different types of speaking superpower. I encourage you to remember this acronym, K-A-L-A, Kayla. Each letter in that acronym represents the different types of speaking superpowers we will talk about. Kayla, K-A-L-A. Let's start with the K, which stands for kinesthetic speaking superpower. A person who has a kinesthetic speaking superpower tends to gesture often while they're talking. They have to be active in order to remain engaged with the information they're sharing and receiving. They tend to have great hand-eye coordination. They prefer to do things as they are learning because the activity and movement tends to help them remember information better. People who have a kinesthetic speaking superpower tend to be creative thinkers. However, the drawback is a person who has a kinesthetic speaking superpower is unable to sit for prolonged periods of time and listen to information. They have to have movement. Since I mentioned listening, let's talk about the next speaking superpower, which is oral. A-U-R-A-L. That's what the first A stands for in our acronym Kayla. Oral means rhythmically aware. The person who has an oral speaking superpower is probably most productive when they have music playing in the background. It helps them to find a rhythm in their workflow. Oral speaking superpowers prefer acronyms like Kayla. That's how they best recall and share information. People who have an oral speaking superpower like the sound of rhyming words. They also enjoy words in a sequence starting with the same sound. Those are called alliterations. Vocal variation in speaking rate, how fast a person speaks, how much it's modified, vocal pitch, how high a tone is in a person's voice and how deep they can make their voice go. And they also enjoy variation in speaking volume, how loud a person speaks and how softly they tend to speak throughout the conversation. Since listening is their strong point, they'd rather not give or receive information in writing. They'll get bored and they really won't remember too much of the information that is written. The third speaking superpower is logic. A person who has logic as their speaking superpower, they're great at taking complex information and making it simple. They like patterns and they group together information according to pattern. They can take the most abstract information and make it so simple to understand. They tend to be good at drawing conclusions and problem solving. Their primary goal is to structure the information they either share or receive so that it's simple, easy to follow, and makes sense. Now let's talk about the aesthetic speaking superpower. Someone who has this speaking superpower is attracted to beautiful images. They like to see things. They like color, graphs, charts. They are least likely to receive information from listening. They need to see things. They need to see images, pictures, drawings. This person will always show pictures and want to see pictures. How does knowing your speaking superpower help you to become a confident public speaker? Let's talk about that now. Number one, capitalize on your strength. It comes naturally for you. If you are a kinesthetic, incorporate your hand gestures. Do not try to stifle them. Control them, but incorporate them into your presentation. If you try to stifle them, that's going to increase nervousness because you're focusing more on controlling your hand gestures versus allowing them to help emphasize certain points in your message. Also, be aware there are other people in your audience who have a kinesthetic speaking superpower. That means they would like to move around some kind of way. Incorporate some type of movement into your presentation, even if it's encouraging people to take a stretch. If you have an oral speaking superpower, that means you like to hear sounds. Use that to your advantage. Incorporate rhyming words into your presentation. Modify your speaking rate. When you're excited, speak a little faster. That's what happens when people are naturally excited anyway. If there's a serious point, slow your speaking rate. That's what happens when people are serious about something. People with an oral speaking superpower are known to quote music lyrics in their presentations. Be aware there are other people in your audience who have an oral speaking superpower as well. Share acronyms with them. Words that are made up of the first letter that represent other words. If you have a logic speaking superpower, you are talented at telling stories. Be aware there are other people in your audience who can relate to your logic. For the person who has the aesthetic speaking superpower, remember there are other people in your audience who likes to look at pictures just as much as you do. Incorporate pictures, show graphs, show charts. That's your strength. It comes naturally for you. Leave a comment and tell me which of the 4 speaking superpowers you think you have. While you're going to rely on your speaking superpower to help build your confidence to give a presentation successfully, keep in mind the audience is usually made up of a mix of speaking superpowers. That means all 4 of the different speaking superpowers are present in one audience. Use mostly your speaking superpower to create your presentation and feel good about it because that's your strength. Also, incorporate little things into your presentation that will address the other speaking superpowers as well. That way you can keep more people interested in what you're saying during your presentation. If you'd like examples of how you can address the other 3 speaking superpowers, leave a comment and I will create a video demonstrating how you can address all 4 speaking superpowers in one presentation. Those are the speaking superpowers. Remember, your speaking superpower is your strength that will help you to build your confidence to give a speech successfully. If you want to know your speaking superpower, there's a link in the description. Take the quiz. When you take the quiz, go with that first option that seems natural to you. Don't overthink it. When you go with that first option, that's your instinct, and that's going to give you a more accurate reading of your results. Come back and share with us your speaking superpower. Until we speak again, make sure you do something every day to help make your greatest ambition your greatest accomplishment.